From towering stone walls to gigantic statues, historians and archaeologists have been trying to figure out who built them, why they were built, and most importantly, how did ancient civilizations transport and construct such massive structures with the limited tools of their time. These are some of the most mysterious ancient megalithic structures. Puma Punku in the Andes Mountains of Bolivia is part of a larger temple complex linked to the Tiwanaku culture. It's thought to have been built between 536 and 600 CE, but some researchers think it could be even older than that. The site has these impressive stone blocks, with the largest weighing around 131 tons, way heavier than most modern construction equipment, and they were sourced about 50 miles away. Moving these enormous stones to such a high altitude site would have been no small feat. The area is above the tree line, which means they couldn't use wooden rollers. So how did the builders actually manage to transport these massive blocks? And it's not just how heavy they are, it's the intricate carvings on them. There are these precise etchings cut into the stone, perfectly straight lines. Did they have some kind of advanced tools we just don't know about? Without knowing it, I'd think these were carved with modern day electric tools, but of course that wouldn't have been the case in the year 600. In Saqqara, near the pyramid of Djoser in Egypt, archaeologists discovered 24 coffin-shaped black boxes. These boxes are made of solid Aswan granite, a material so tough that it's hard to scratch even with modern tools. Each box is massive, weighing over 100 tons, and they're designed to be airtight. The lids of these boxes are also made from granite and weigh about 30 tons each. The precision with which these boxes were cut and assembled is just astonishing. Some think that the sheer level of skill shown in these boxes is just so high that it seems almost impossible for ancient people to have achieved it. Of course they did though, which just goes to show how truly impressive the ancient Egyptians were, unless of course you're in the alien camp and think that aliens just helped them out or that the Egyptians copied some advanced design of theirs. As for now though, nobody knows exactly why there are 24 boxes or what their original purpose was. Nan Madol is an incredible ancient city located on the coast of Pohnpei in Micronesia. The site has about 100 artificial islets spread over 150 acres of lagoon. It's estimated that it could have housed more than 1,000 people. Built between 1100 and 1628 CE, Nan Madol was likely a ceremonial and political center. What makes Nan Madol fascinating is how it was built. The structures are made from massive basalt columns, and there was no mortar. The builders just constructed and placed the stones perfectly. It's incredibly impressive, but how did they do it? Well, legend has it that giant birds lifted and placed these heavy stones. The layout of Nan Madol is complex as well, with interconnected islets and waterways. This was a highly organized society. The people who lived here had very advanced skills. Asuka is a village in Japan that dates back to the Kofun period, around 250 to 552 CE. The area is rich in history, and the massive stone structures definitely add to the allure. There are about 20 famous stone monuments here, and to this day, some of them are still super mysterious. No one knows exactly who built them or why. This is definitely the case with Masuda no Anofune, or the rock ship of Masuda. This massive stone structure measures 36 feet long, about 26 feet wide, and is about 16.5 feet tall, weighing around 800 tons. It sits at the top of a hill, and looking at it, it doesn't resemble anything else in the area. A lot of the other monuments look more like Buddhist pieces, but this does not look like your typical Buddhist architecture at all. In fact, I don't really know what style of architecture it resembles. It looks almost alien. At the very least, it looks like something you'd see in a modern art museum. There are some theories about its purpose, but none have been proven. Some think it could have been a ceremonial site, others think it might have had some astronomical significance, which seems to be the go-to explanation when experts just have no idea what the hell something is. It's something to do with the stars. The Longyou Caves are a group of 24 man-made caves in China. The caves were carved out of sandstone, and as for who built them and why, no one knows. They were mentioned in a 17th century poem, but no one really knows exactly when they were created. Some clay pots found in the silt inside the caves have been dated back between 206 BCE and 23 CE though. Another cool thing about these caves is that they were found by accident. In June of 1992, 4 farmers drained some ponds in their village, and there they were. What they thought were just ponds turned out to be huge man-made caverns. After doing some digging, they discovered 19 more caverns nearby, too. The caves could be over 2,000 years old, but there are no historical records detailing how or why they were built. But how would they have been constructed, though? Well, with the types of tools available at the time, it would have required around 1,000 skilled workers digging 24 hours a day for many years to complete a project like this. Another odd part, there's no evidence of where all the rubble went. It's estimated that over 1 million cubic meters of stone were removed, but not a single trace of it has ever been found. The walls of Saqsaywaman. I was saying that, Saqsaywaman. They're a very impressive feat of ancient engineering found just outside Cusco, Peru, built by the Inca in the 15th century. It's a massive fortress famous for its enormous stone walls made from giant blocks, some weighing up to 200 tons. And aside from how heavy they are, the stones fit together so nicely and tightly that you can't even slide a toothpick between them. Saqsaywaman indeed. This site would have been used as a fortification and for ceremonial practices. The walls are arranged in a zigzag pattern, which makes the place effective for defense. But how did the Incas manage to transport and shape these massive stones without modern tools? Well, there are theories. They could have used wooden sledges or ramps, but no one really knows for sure. When the Spaniards arrived and took over Cusco, they were so amazed by the walls that they believed only demons could have built such an incredible structure. They even tried to tear down parts of it, but the boulders were just too heavy for them to move. The stone spheres of Costa Rica, also known as the Diquis spheres. These perfectly round stone spheres range in size from just a few inches to over 8 feet in diameter, with some weighing as much as 16 tons. They're found mainly in the Diquis Delta and the nearby Isla del Cano. Most of these spheres are made of a hard type of granite called granodiorite, and they're believed to have been created by the now extinct Diquis culture between 500 CE and 1500 CE. How did they carve such perfectly round, smooth stones? We don't know for sure. Some researchers think they might have used tools made from harder materials or just had techniques that we can't fully understand today. There are also myths and legends that the Diquis people had a potion that they used to soften the rocks and sculpt them. All we know for sure is that the precision and craftsmanship here is very impressive. What about what they were used for? The main theory is that they were used to mark the burial sites of important people. There's always the possibility though that they built them just because. I mean, why not? They look nice. Unfortunately, a lot of these spheres have been moved or destroyed over the years. Only about 30 are still in their original locations. The Plain of Jars is one of the most fascinating and mysterious archaeological sites in Laos. The site is full of large stone jars scattered all over the landscape. Some of the jars are massive, weighing up to several tons. Some are much smaller. There are over 2,000 of these jars across the region, with the largest concentration found at a site called Site 1. And you guessed it, no one really knows who made these jars or why they were created. But archaeologists think the jars date back around 500 BCE to 500 CE. The jars were often carved from sandstone or limestone and are mostly cylindrical. Some theories suggest they were used for burial practices, possibly to hold the remains of the dead, but legend has it they were created by giants. In Bada Valley, Indonesia, you'll find some incredible stone monuments. These statues look a bit like the moai from Easter Island. You'd think that with such striking designs, historians would easily know when and why these megaliths were created, but again, no one really knows how old they are or what they were built for. When locals are asked about the purpose of these statues, they often just say, well, they've always been there. Some believe the megaliths are linked to human sacrifice. Others think they were to ward off evil spirits. Some tales even say these stones are criminals turned to stone and that they can move on their own at night. Another cool thing, the megaliths weren't made from stone found in the local area. The Olmec colossal heads. These are some of the most beautiful artifacts from the ancient world and some of the most intriguing. They were crafted by the Olmec civilization, which lived on the Gulf of Mexico between 1200 BCE and 400 BCE. The heads seem to represent important Olmec rulers, given how difficult it would have been to construct them, and the fact that each and every one of them are unique. So far, 17 of these heads have been found, with 10 from San Lorenzo and 4 from La Venta, both major Olmec sites. Each head is carved from a single basalt boulder, and some of these massive stones were transported over 62 miles to where they stand today. They're actually older than the more famous moai of Rapa Nui. You can tell by looking at them that they're incredibly heavy, 6 tons at the smallest to over 50 tons for the largest, which was never completed. We still don't know exactly how the Olmec moved these gigantic boulders. In fact, we don't really know a whole lot about the Olmecs at all. These heads are some of the few clues we have about their civilization, which mysteriously vanished over 2,000 years ago. With all that said, I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.